And welcome everybody back for another episode of the Cash Flow Agent, where I'm gonna bring you amazing speakers. So these speakers that go on stage, they have achieved so much in their career, in either business or personal. Both of them have very compelling story to share. And then today, I cannot wait to introduce you to Tony King. He is our EXP Director of Growth, and I cannot. I'm just too excited to kind of get to know Tony a little more, right? I'm a little bit selfish, Tony, but actually the show is like for me. I really want to use the show to get to know you, and just these amazing people, that we have in our company, right? And hey, why not just record it so that way other people can hear your story as well. So Tony, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, man. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. An honor to be asked by you to come and have a chat with your audience, Mr. Cashflow Agent. Congratulations on your success and everything that you got going. So yes, an honor to be here, man. Thanks.
Yeah. Tony, so let's start from the beginning. I don't really know your story as well. So who is Tony King before real estate, if you don't mind telling me?
So long ago, I barely remember the guy. Honestly. So no, I actually my real estate career actually spans back 20 years. Right, I've been in the real estate industry for that period of time. But just prior to that, and really what led me on my career to real estate is that I was in the Marine Corps.
Oh
And I
wow.
had the unfortunate occurrence of getting hit by a roadside bomb in Iraq, and that was the end of my military career. Right, so
Holy moly.
they gave me a Purple Heart, which is cool, and a few other decorations, but ultimately the Purple Heart they handed me was on my way out the door. Right, so they
Wow.
said, "Hey, here you go." And while I was in recovery from that attack, I actually picked up a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. By Robert Kiyosaki. If anybody out there hasn't read it yet, you're missing out. You need to read that book. But that was transformative for me, right? Because I was in the sick bay and I was in recovery, and I read that book, and I got bit by the entrepreneur bug. So got
Yeah.
back from my deployment, spent my deployment money on my first two investment properties up in the Detroit area. And yeah, that was kind of it, man. I was sold out on real estate at that point. So I began to, just help out friends and family. And they began to see the success I was having as a wholesaler, as a flipper, as an investor, rental properties and that sort of thing. And they said, man, help us, hey Tony, how much you think this house is worth? Or hey Tony, help us negotiate this deal. And I said, man, if I had a real estate license, I could help out my friends and family, plus get some additional commission on the side, right? Open up another stream of income. So that's kind of why I started and got my real estate license. And I quickly became the number one agent at my small boutique brokerage that I was at. And then went on. I said, hey man, I'm making some pretty good money here. Actually, more on the agent side than I was on the investment side. Once you factor in all of the hard money lending and factor in all the expenses and the taxes and everything, I was like, man, I'm making more money on the agent side. So I was like, I'm gonna really give this agency thing a go. Moved down here to Texas, and that was about 10 years ago.
Oh
So
wow.
10 years ago, I went from being a brand new agent, dropped off in a brand new market, brand new state I'd never been in, to ultimately running the largest and the most profitable real estate brokerage in the history of the state of Texas, which is EXP Realty, right? So
Ooh.
began to do that, and I got here as quick as I could, and the rest, as they say, is history, right? So the executive team kind of looked at the success that Texas was having, the growth that Texas was having,
I
and the
know.
executive team and Michael and Glenn and folks were like, man, growth is incredible in Texas. Like, Tony, we should just have you focused on growth. So that's what they did, and that's where I've been ever since.
Man, Tony, I'm just so overwhelmed right now. I don't know what to dive in anymore. So I guess you and me, we are so much similar than you think. I actually started from that book, Rich Dad Poor Dad as well, and it's actually a really important book. I feel like a lot of real estate agents right now, they just kind of dive into the business, but they kind of missing that fundamental, right? What is real estate, right? This is actually real estate, and this is real estate service. So what is really real estate? What is the cash flow, right? What is the E, S, and BI quadrant? Like what quadrant do I operate it in, and which one I need to move toward? So I feel like
Right.
that is like the fundamental mindset. If anybody want to get into the real estate game, you just have to get that mindset, because without a fundamental, you kind of go kind of sway off in the wrong, not in the wrong direction, but it's gonna get you further. You go around, and then you might come back for another couple of years, and then it might be too late. But Yeah,
Yeah,
super,
cash
super.
flow agent, right? I mean, that's what this whole thing is about. Cash flow agent, right? Cash flow is the name of the game.
Yep, cash flow is the name of the game, and yeah, I really want to get that message out, right? Real estate is so much more about showing houses. This is about the financial, the mathematic, underneath an investment property. And if you can understand that, you're gonna be well for yourself, and you're gonna be well for your client as well.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah,
And really, I think where a lot of agents miss the opportunities that they have is in not looking at their real estate business as if it's a business, right?
business.
Many agents run their business like they're self-employed, right? As we talk about that cash flow quadrant,
Yep,
for those of you that haven't read the book, right? You have the ES and BI, you have the employed, and then you have the self-employed, then you have the what S or I'm sorry, no, the ES and then the B and the I, right? So business
yeah,
owner, and then the investor, right, on the right of the cash flow quadrant. So when you run your business, most agents run it like a self-employed.
yeah,
But with the EXP opportunity, and with our unique model, we allow you to be able to run it like a business owner, and ultimately like an investor, right? So this is one of the only companies that allows you to be able to run your real estate business on the right side of the cash flow quadrant, right? Which is where we all
yep.
should be.
Yep. So many entrepreneur here, in EXP, and especially around my group. And I keep telling everybody, Tony, perhaps one of my best hire is actually a transaction coordinator, right? The moment
Yeah.
you hire your transaction coordinator, you free yourself up from all the paperwork,
Yeah.
the time consuming paperwork, so you can really focus on growing the business, right?
Yep.
And later on, when you have more business, you can add on an executive assistant, and later on, a bookkeeping. So if you
Yep.
think about it, from a business owner side of view, that's what you need to focus on, is finding the right people to partner up with your business. And then
Yep.
that way, you can grow like a business instead of keep becoming a self-employed.
Yeah, I mean, either you have one or you are one, right? So either you have a transaction coordinator or you are your transaction coordinator, right? Either you have
Exactly.
an assistant or you are your assistant. So when the light bulb comes on, like you said, is when you hire that first person, even if it's a part time, even if it's a VA, virtual assistant somewhere, even if it's someone on Fiverr, just to help out, you
Yeah.
start to really get that freedom, and you get to taste it and say, hey, listen, now this is what leverage is about. Because if you're not leveraging your income, you will always hit a ceiling of what you're able to do, which is something that I found out right when I went over to I came from Remax prior to Redfin and then EXP, but that's something that I found out, right? So when I was a newer agent over at Remax, I was doing 10 to 15 transactions myself a month, and that's all me, right? So like that's me dropping off signs, me dropping off lock boxes, me printing the flyers, me
Yeah.
doing this, like me. And like I burned out. I hit the ceiling, right? I mean, I was doing 50 some deals a year, but I was like, this cannot continue, right? I'm going to burn out. So I had to find a leveraged model that was going to allow me to be able to do what I'm good at, but
Yeah.
also hire someone to be able to help me scale, and only do the things I'm good at that really move the needle.
Yep. Yeah. So just one little tidbit, for all the new real estate agent before we move into the next section is that, well, just keep a habit of write down all your tasks. When you do a deal, right? Just like Tony say, who's gonna install my lockbox? Who's gonna put up the sign? Who's gonna do the paperwork? Who is gonna do this and that, right? And then later on, I understand that right now you're just starting the business. Maybe you are shorting on a fund. It's okay to do them for now by yourself, but eventually just keep thinking about, like, hey, as I grow my business, as I have more client, in order for me to go out there and find more client, who can help with me with this task, right? And then there's a lot of signing company in Houston, in Texas. There's a lot of real estate services that can actually help your life as a real estate agent a lot better. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that the book
Absolutely.
to read is the Who Not How. That is one of the book I love the most. So
Love it.
instead of
Love it.
asking the how, asking the question who, right? Instead of how to do it, you're gonna ask a different question. Who can help me do it, right? And how
Yep.
can I add value to that person? And then from there, you create a win-win.
Absolutely. I love it,
Yeah.
man. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. So Tony, if you can still remember, I'm sure that first few year in real estate, for me personally, it's super challenging. I don't remember how many times that I tell my wife, like, hey, this is too hard. I just gonna go ahead and quit. This is not for me. If you can just describe your challenge in the first year in your career in real estate, and then how you overcome that, right? Because I'm sure that a lot of new real estate agent, they are facing a similar issue right now when the market is taking a turn. Maybe they can learn something from you and your wisdom and how you overcome your first your challenge in the first few years in real estate.
Yeah, no, I think that for me, it's about setting a time horizon, right? So you set a realistic time horizon, which is what I did. I said, okay, listen, I'm going to give this thing 6 months, right? Because I was already an investor,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, but there's another opportunity that could be over here on the agency side, and I had a little bit of funds set aside, so I said, okay, listen, I'm going to give this a run. I'm going to give my all, my 100%, right? Not 80%, not 90%, not 70, right? I'm giving it 100% for the next 6 months, right? And no matter what, and not look up, right? I'm not even looking at the result. All I'm looking at is the work for the next 6 months. And you do it and you give it 100% every single day for 6 months. And if it didn't work, it didn't work, right? Well, I said I'll look back at the end of 6 months and then I'll make a decision.
Yep.
If I give it my all. So I did that, and it didn't take anywhere near that long, right? Because if you put your all into something for a good 30 days, you will see a huge explosion in your business. I promise you that. But again, it's got to be your all. It can't be part. It's got to be all. You give it your all for a good 30 days, good 30-day run, 90 days at the most, right? Somewhere between that 1 to 3 month window, and your business will explode. And that's what I saw, right? So I quickly, as I said, shot up, became the number one agent at that little boutique brokerage that I was at the time. So much so that the broker asked me, he's like, I thought you were a new agent. Like, how are you getting all this business? How are you getting all these deals? Right. Because again, it's about the effort. It's about going all in. Right. So whether that's door knocking, whether that's open houses, whether that's, farming, whether that's leads that you're about, like whatever it is, give it everything that you've got, work it like there's no tomorrow. And then you will start to see the results. I promise you. There's only 3 things that I found in my experience. So at this point, I have coached, mentored, supervised in some fashion over 10,000 agents in my real estate career, right? But there's only 3 things that I've ever seen that has caused an agent not to be successful. Number 1, they don't know what to do. Number 2, they don't know, and if they do know what to do, they simply don't do it, right? And then number 3 is they don't do it long enough to see the result. That's the only 3 things that'll cause you to fail. So my job, as I saw it, and you as a leader, in your group, in your organization, our job as leaders is to remove number 1 from the equation, right? No one should ever fail because they didn't know what to do. That's why you have this podcast. That's why we have so much education. That's why you have resources. There's not the excuse that you didn't know what to do, right? So we remove that one. And then we are forced to confront that second one, which is, do I really want this, right? Do I really want to, do I want the result? Because it's going to require the effort, right? Do I want it as bad as I say that I do? And then once they begin to do it, the next question is, how long am I going to do it, right? Am I going to do it until I see the result? There's such a powerful word, which is until. I'm going to do this until I see the result that I want. And having those reasonable expectations, knowing that you're not going to be good at first, but you're going to keep doing it even though you're not good, and you're going to get good as you're doing. It's the doing that makes you good. So that's, I don't know if that answered your question, right? But that's my experience in the first 90 days to 6 months of my real estate career, was just to go all in for 6 months.
Yeah. Well, you actually answered the second question. I was going to ask you, what is the number 1 mistake that you see real estate agent make all the time, and that is they don't know what to do and they don't do it long enough.
That's it. That's it. That really is the only thing, right? Either they don't know what to do, they don't do it. They know, but they don't do it, or they just don't do it long enough. Like they dip their foot in the water. Oh yeah, I know that I'm supposed to host. I know that I'm supposed to host open houses, but I didn't host the open house. Or you did host that open house, but you only hosted one of them, and it was only 2 hours, right? So okay, you hosted one open house in the last month. And you only did it for 2 hours. So it is unreasonable for you to expect to see a result from that, right?
Yep.
Whereas I believe in the exact opposite. So my philosophy, and the philosophy that I teach and that I hope people with, is setting the kind of habits that make failure impossible, right? So on one side, you can say, hey, I'm going to try this and hope that it works out. The other way is to say, I'm going to put so much effort, I'm going to put this many habits so that failure is impossible. If I host 4 open houses every week for the next year, it is impossible for me to fail. That it's a different mindset, right? It's a mindset that says, I'm going to set the habits that make failure impossible. And then it's a matter of just doing the work.
Yeah, man, Tony, I'm gonna use that line from now on. That is so powerful. Setting the habit that make failure impossible. Tony King.
I didn't come up with it. I've heard it a few places, but yeah, no, I mean that's it. So
Wow, so powerful. And one thing I kind of noticed from your conversation, Tony, you this is a really good point. You detach yourself from the outcome, right? You do the work, and
that's
then
it.
you emotionally detach from the outcome. So it doesn't matter the outcome is you did in all the work, you did your job, and then and then you just keep doing it, or you move on to the next thing, right? So you completely unattached from the outcome is what I see the key to your success, because a lot of people they get emotionally, and then they get attached to the result, they get attached to the outcome. You should focus on your task instead, right? If you
That's
take care of
exactly
the
right.
task, the
No, that's
result will
exactly
take care
right,
of
Lee.
itself.
No, and if you notice, right, you talked about that first 6 month period. I didn't mention anything about a goal, right? I had no goal to do 100 deals my first year, right? That was a goal down the road, but that was not my goal. All I talked about was the habits. I said I'm going to give this my all. I'm going to do A, B, C, and D for the next 6 months. Right. And when you focus on those habits, the results are what you call a lagging indicator, right? So you have leading indicators and lagging indicators.
Yep.
The leading indicators are the things that you're doing, right? And if I would recommend everybody get the book Atomic Habits, I think is the name of the
Ooh,
book.
love that book.
Yeah,
It's
that's a
my
great one.
favorite
So
show.
we talk about leading indicators and lagging indicators. The most folks, when they're quote unquote setting their goals, they're focused on the lagging indicator, which is that result, what you're going to get. But what they really should focus on, and what I do, and what the top successful people at the company do, is they focus on the leading, which is those habits. Because if you
Yep.
focus on those habits, A, they're a lot easier to track because it's on a daily basis, and then B, you get the result as an outcome of putting in the work of checking off the boxes.
That is amazing. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, so moving on to the next step, I really want to get to know your time, especially as the broker on record of EXP Realty during your time in Texas. What is a secret that you're able to support everybody here, me included, in Texas, and then we have a really really good, if not explosive growth in Texas during the time that you have the broker on record before you get the promotion.
Yeah. So teamwork. I mean, I wish I could say, hey, I'm just that guy, and I can do what no one can do. But that's not the reality. One of the greatest things, and the only way that I was able to serve as a designated broker for nearly 10,000 agents,
Hmm.
is the fact that I had an incredible team with me, beside me, behind me, and in front of me,
Yeah.
surrounding me with greatness. Right. So here in Texas, we have 13 managing brokers, right? That to
Wow.
include, to exclude, I should say, the designated broker. So 13 managing brokers that all they do is eat, sleep, breathe, helping agents get from where they are to where they want to be in their businesses, and supporting agent growth and agent activity. So that's the first thing. And then we also have, again, transaction coordinators and the education department. I mean, the whole thing, right? So there's no way that one person could ever do it alone. So I don't ever want to misrepresent that fact.
Uh-huh.
And that really, I think, is my only strength, is that I have a unique ability for finding, understanding, and connecting with talented people, right? I have the ability to be able to look at that person, spend a few times, like with you, and say, hey, this person is going to be successful. Whether they are or not right now, I'm able to see that and help bring that out of people.
Yep, you bring
And
it
that's
out from
probably my
people.
only superpower, is that I can see greatness in people, and I'm helpful in bringing that greatness out of them. So if I had a superpower, I guess that'd be it.
Wow, wow, wow. I noticed, like, when we use the word managing, I wouldn't say it would relate it to you, because you actually leading, right? I see you as a leader. I see a lot of the broker, our agent is the leader. So what would you think would make a major difference between a manager and a leader?
Yeah. So difference between a manager and a leader, that's easy. I mean, that's something that I got back in the Marine Corps, right? Going all the way back. A manager is going to point and say, go there. Whereas a leader is going to say, let's go and follow me. Right.
Yep.
So that's the difference between a leader, is when you get out there and you learn that really quick when you're in a combat zone, like I was in Iraq, right?
Yeah.
Because when you say on me, right, which is code word, like on me, and you take off running, you learn real quick whether or not you're a leader. Because if your guys aren't following you when you run out in the battlefield, guess what? You ain't a leader.
Oh.
So again, that's trial by fire, right? So if you're not the type of person that someone would follow into a firefight,
Ooh.
then you're not a leader, right? So you need to work on becoming that kind of leader that you can say on me and take off running, and your guys are behind you. You don't have to look back.
Oh, wow. That is so powerful, Tony. I'm so glad that you're able to translate a lot of your experience, in the army and translate it, all the way
Marines,
to real estate. Yeah. I mean,
Marines.
marine from the marine all the way to real estate. Super respect you for that.
It's
Wow.
all good. I won't hold that against you. A lot of people mix it up. It's all good.
It's a marine. Yes, sir. It's a marine. The few, the proud.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
Yep. So fast forward now, you are now the director of growth, of this international company with EXP Realty. Could you describe your role again, to all the EXP Realty agent, and how
Sure.
can you help them?
Yeah, so my piece is to help you grow, right? Ideally, and kind of the focal point is helping you grow your organization, right? Your revenue share tree, that sort of thing. But if I can help you in production, if I can help you in marketing or advertising or plug you into resources, happy to do those things as well. But kind of my focal point is helping to add to your organization. If you have a relationship with a top team or with a brokerage or with a top producer, and they're kind of on the fence and they need to kind of hear from someone from corporate. That's my piece, right? I'm here. I'm the fence knocker, right? My job is to help knock people off the fence. If
Yeah.
they're thinking about maybe joining EXP, I give them what they need to know to push them off the fence and kind of close the deal, so to speak, and help you grow your organization.
Wow, that is amazing. Yeah. So let's dive into the incentive program a little bit. I know you are behind
Yeah.
a lot of this. So we call this the trifecta, right? Is that correct?
Yep. That's
Yep, the
fair.
trifecta. We have the boost, we have the accelerate, and we have the try program that can help. Again, we talked about leverage earlier in the beginning, right? At this company,
Yeah.
not only you can build your business as a production business, EXP is going to give you a chance to become a leader, to lead other people that say on me, and then together we build a business together with people. And the
That's
boost,
right.
the accelerate, the thrive, it's gonna further enhance you to do that. So what is the boost program?
Yeah, so Boost is a program that we have established for independent brokerages, right? So not for franchises, but if you have a relationship with a brokerage that or broker owner, we and they are culturally aligned with us,
Yep.
and we can kind of talk a little bit about what that means. But if
Mhm.
they're culturally aligned and a good cultural fit for EXP, we actually have financial incentives in place that are going to allow them to smooth that transition. Right. So yeah, I mean, and that is we can make things very, very easy for them financially, right? Make it an easy financial decision for them to come on board to EXP.
Yep. And you mentioned so important. I want to, reel down on it a little bit. The culture fit is so important, right? The people that
Absolutely.
you bring on to your culture, to your circle is super important. They have to have a culture fit, right?
That's right.
From my experience, I try to attract, like everybody that I could, turn out that only the people that is culturally aligned with you, especially about the EXP core value, that's a whole circle about transparency, integrity, make sure the people that you attract into your circle, into your group, they are culturally aligned with us. Otherwise,
That's right.
it's going to cost you a ton of time, and it's not going to be a good fit for you and your company later on.
That's right. And again, this is for large brokerages, right? So we're talking about brokerages that are at least 50 agents and 100 million in volume, right? So that we're talking about a large brokerage. But if it's a smaller brokerage than that, let's talk. We may have some other programs and some other opportunities, like for instance, the Thrive program
Mhm.
that we might be able to help out with.
Okay, so let's touch base a little bit on the Thrive program. What is the difference
Yeah.
between Boost and Thrive?
So Thrive, and it's easy, right? I think Michael Valdez did this just for me because I like I mentioned, I got brain damage. So he tends to make things very simple for me, right? So A is accelerate, that's for agents. A is for
Mhm.
agents.
Yep.
B is boost, right? And B is for
Ah,
brokerages, and
and
then
T for
T
team.
is for Thrive. There you go. See, he did it for all of us to make
Now
it
I
nice
get
and
it.
easy. Yes. So T is for teams, Tony. So Thrive, and that is the Thrive program is very similar to Boost, right? So if they're a culturally aligned team and looking to come on board to EXP, we can have some great financial incentives in the form of EXP stock, right? So
Mhm.
if that's one thing, getting cash is one thing, getting stock is a whole nother thing, right? So we
Woo!
have an opportunity to be able to really increase their equity and in the company at a very quick pace.
Yep. I love it. I love it whenever somebody mentioned the word equity, right?
There
You
we
know,
go. Right. See, and again, now we're talking about transitioning sides because what is a team lead, right? Those are folks that really get the cash flow quadrant and they're kind of starting to transition over from the left side to the right side of the cash flow quadrant. And I is over there, right?
yep,
The invest quadrant is over there. So we're going to really help them and propel that, propel them into the investment category as well.
yep. I just love that quote from Rich Dad Poor Dad. You know, it say that the poor work for money, the rich work for equity and cash flow.
There
I
you
will I
go.
will never forget that. You know,
That should be the motto of EXP. I'm going to talk to Glenn about that. I love that.
yep. Push it up, and then
I will.
finally the accelerate program is for Asian.
Yes, there you
Yep,
go. See, now that's how we remember. The accelerate program is for agents. And there's really two paths to the accelerate program. One is for new agents, right? So the accelerate program, we're going to unlock the first three levels of
I mean,
revenue share. Yes, in their tree. So that's absolutely incredible on its face, right? And we're going to do that for a whole year. So
mhm,
when you come into EXP, it's as if you have 10 FLQAs, as we call them, so frontline qualifying associates, as
mhm,
if you came in on day one with 10.
yeah,
So that's amazing. And what we're doing is really accelerating their receiving rev share, right? Because rev share is it's almost like a drug, if I can. So it's like, once you get that first taste, right? And you're like, man, like this is actually really cool. Like, you mean I got a few $100 or a few $1,000 that I personally didn't have to work and sell houses and do tours and visit, open
yep,
houses and stuff like that. I didn't have to work for it.
yep,
Someone else worked and I got paid.
yeah.
So we really, again, transitioning that mindset from left side to right side of the quadrant. And, we're able to do that again at a quick pace when someone comes in the door through the Accelerate program for new agents, right? And then we also have a returning agent portion, right? So what we're starting to see, we have we call them pop-up competitors or copycats, whatever you want to call them, folks that are some agents just kind of think the grass may be greener on the other side.
Yep.
But what we start to see is a huge influx of people coming back, right? Boomeranging back to EXP. So one thing that we've also done as a part of the Accelerate program is to allow those people that are coming back, because there's so many of them that try something and say, "Yeah, actually, the grass was way greener back at EXP." So when they come back, we can actually reinsert them into their revenue share organization as if they never left. Right.
I
So
see.
that's something that we didn't have previously. It's like, hey, you got to come back and start from scratch. But now, again, we get so many people that go over there, they try it for 30, 60, 90 days, find out that they have been sold a bill of goods and that, it's not what they were promised. And then they come back and we put them right back in, no hard feelings, and we plug them right back in.
Got it. Wow. That is really, well, grateful to hear, wow.
Yeah. I mean, and the crazy thing is that it was out of necessity. It's not something that we wanted to do, but it was eating up so much time and resources because there's so many people coming back.
Oh, to actually go to the whole sponsorship, things. I see. So they don't, if they come back, they don't have to pay $149 sign up fee. They can just go like,
Depending on how quickly they come back. Right.
I
Exactly.
see. I see. Okay. I got it. Wow. Okay. My mind is blown. Oh my God. I have brand damage now.
No, that's it. And that's the thing is, if you have someone that decides to leave, hey, give them a call. Listen, don't forget you can always come back, right?
Mhm.
Because that's the number one thing we get is folks that leave and then they start complaining about what they were told versus what's actually there.
Yep. So that's one thing that I do in my early career. I never overpromise, right? You cannot guarantee, you cannot promise anything. So
That's right.
wow. And just to recall, you mentioned revenue share, Tony. I remember my first revenue share check. It's actually $4.21. I actually just look it up. It's actually from a lease. That's why it's so
That's
low, right?
funny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was like, man, I know it's $4, but this is the $4 that I don't have to work for, right? It's like
It's huge.
all of a
It's
sudden it appeared on my bank account.
and that's why we did accelerate, because that light bulb comes on
Went up.
once you
It
get
went up.
that first rev share check, and then you start doing the multiplication. You're like, man, okay, so if I could do this once, I could do it 10 times. If I could do it 10 times, I could do it 100 times over a year or over a few years. I could do it 1,000 times over the next
Yeah.
10 years, and what does that do for my business, right? And you start doing the math on that, and it's just incredible.
Yep. So my initial goal, to be honest with you, Tony, I just want revenue share to pay for my mortgage, right? And I have a cheap mortgage. It's $800. All
Oh
I
my gosh,
want,
yeah.
all I want is like, hey, if I can, get some good agent, I can help them, I can train them, I can develop them. Hey, when I can, when the revenue share can cover my mortgage, I'm happy, right?
Yeah.
But in reality, just like when you get into it, you actually love the business so much. You love the developing agent, you love helping agent, and especially you love helping them grow. You help them duplicate you, right? And all of a
That's
sudden,
right.
it's like, I don't know, it's like yeah,
Yeah,
it
it
just
explodes.
exploded.
It's a snowball. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yep. But wow, awesome. Well, Tony, we're gonna move to the last part of the interview. How do you manage your time, or really your life between business and personal life? Like all of us, we have so much thing to do as an entrepreneur. How do you have
Mhm.
your time, to spend with your family and your friend? And a lot of people, a lot of agents, they struggle with that.
Yeah, no, I think that it's a matter of time blocking, right, and using your calendar and sticking to it. You start out at the beginning of the week, plot every single interval and it's important to have blank spaces in there.
Mhm.
That's wisdom, right? Because things are going to come up.
Yep.
Someone is going to because I see a lot of agents fail with that, and they plot out every single minute of the day
Woo.
as if they're never going to get a call from a seller, as if they're never going to get a call from a buyer. Like you have to know those things are going to happen.
Yeah.
You're not going to get an email from someone that wants to list, right? So you have to plug the time in there for responding or responding to things. But you should be doing it during your response time that you have designated. So that's one of the things that I'm adamant about, is making sure that everything that I'm doing, including my family time, including my time with my wife, including time with the kids, including whatever, is all in the calendar. And I try not to deviate from it so much as humanly possible.
Yeah. Wow, Tony, we have so many similar, way of doing business, and then you think that's exactly how I run my calendar.
That's it. That's it. So great
Wow.
minds, right? Great minds think alike.
Exactly. Okay, so I have two questions for you to end the show. One of them is gonna be super easy. One of
Oh
them is
boy.
gonna be super hard. So you might want to take your time to think about it. So let's
All
start with
right.
an easy question. What do you do for fun?
Fun. Goodness gracious. What do I do? I'm adamant about working out,
Oh,
I actually lost over 100 pounds just prior to COVID.
no
Um,
way!
yep.
I want to see the picture.
If I had known what the question was going to be, I would have brought up, before and after. But yeah, I used to be, 100 pounds bigger than I am right now. But
No way!
yeah. So over the process though of working out, it starts to grow on you, and now actually I enjoy it. So that's probably the thing that I like to do part time pastime.
Well, I want to see the previous Tony with 100 pound more. Like we can do.
I'll send it to you.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
gonna be so inspiring. Wow. Okay. Well, the last question on the show is, if you cannot, of course, over here, EXP Realty Agent, we're gonna be all successful business owner. We're gonna have so much stock in the company. We can have so much revenue share, and that we can even, pass the revenue share to our kid, right? This is one of the coolest thing that EXP ever done, right?
Yeah.
Just build your revenue share, and then there's a way for you to pass it to your kid and your grandchildren to continue that legacy. But let's say you cannot pass your stock to your kid, you cannot pass your revenue share to your kid, you can only pass them one advice in life. What would that be?
Oh wow.
uh,
No revenue share, just advice.
just one advice for your kid, for your loved one to carry forward.
I can't do one. It's got to be
Teeny tiny.
two. I mean, it's
Yeah.
hand in hand. No, I mean it's got to be two.
Yep.
Um, Trust God and don't quit.
Yes,
Those
sir.
only two. So you trust God, and really they're related, right? They're part of the same token, because when you don't quit, it's because you have faith, right? The faith is that if I keep doing this, if I keep doing this, if I keep doing it, I'm going to see the result. So there's faith that things are going to work out in your favor. And my advice to my kids would be for God, maintain that faith, and then just don't quit. Keep working, and you'll get wherever you want to be.
Yep. Yes, sir. Yep. And wow, that is really powerful. Woo! All
That's what I got.
All right, everybody. We're gonna go ahead and end the show here. Tony, thank you so much for your knowledge. Thank you so much for your wisdom. Thank you so much for your contribution to us. To EXP Realty. We're looking forward to work with you and growing this amazing company.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me again.
Awesome. All
And
right.
congrats on all your success. Keep crushing it, man. I got your back.
Thank you, Tony. Bye.
All right, brother. Bye.
Wow.